Every time I look at the Los Angeles metro area on a map, I end up asking myself the same question. How did this become one of the most populated urban areas on Earth? Because when people imagine big cosmopolitan cities, they usually imagine huge open plains, flat land that stretches forever, places where expansion is easy. Cities like Chicago, Dallas, or Houston, where urban growth can spread outward in almost every direction. Los Angeles got the exact opposite deal. Massive chunks of the metro area are either too steep, too dry, too isolated, too dangerous, or too awkwardly shaped for normal urban expansion. And somehow, this area is still home to 18 million people. But why? Contrary to what you might already be thinking, it is definitely not because of the weather. This is your host, Isaac, and welcome to Awesome Third Places. If you want to understand how LA got so big, you have to first understand its physical geography. Los Angeles sits inside a massive natural bowl called the Los Angeles Basin. This basin is ringed by mountains on three sides and the Pacific Ocean on the fourth. First, to the northwest, we have the iconic Santa Monica Mountains. To the north, the imposing San Gabriel Mountains. Meanwhile, the dramatic San Bernardino and San Jacinto Mountains loom on the eastern edge of the metro area. Then we have the Santa Ana Mountains and the San Joaquin Hills, which enclose the valley from the southeast. And last but not least, we have the Palos Verdes Hills. While not being a mountain range in the traditional sense, they are still a massive uplifted hilly peninsula that create the southernmost dramatic feature of the LA metro. Here's the first geographical issue: what makes LA an anomaly. The basin itself is mostly a floodplain. The Los Angeles River, the San Gabriel River, and the Santa Ana River all drain out of the surrounding mountains and run through the flat parts of the city. Before humans showed up and paved everything, these rivers flooded constantly. We are talking about massive, landscape-altering deluges that, in ancient times, used to flood the entire basin and turn it into a giant lake for weeks at a time. The original Tongva people who lived here understood this. They built their villages on higher ground, away from the flood zones. Then the Spanish came, then the Mexicans, then the Americans, and every single one of them looked at this floodplain ringed by mountains and said, "Let us build a city here anyway." The second geographical problem is water, or rather, the lack of it. Los Angeles gets about 15 inches of rain a year. That is barely enough to support chaparral and oak trees. To support a city of millions, you need water from somewhere else. And spoiler alert, there is nowhere else inside the metro area. The Owens Valley Aqueduct, the Colorado River Aqueduct, the State Water Project, all of that water comes from outside. Without those imported rivers, LA would be a ghost town. So you have too much water in the wrong places during winter floods, and not enough water in the right places during summer droughts. That is a recipe for disaster. Here is where I need you to appreciate how crazy the first settlers of Los Angeles really were. They looked at the rivers that flooded the plains every few decades, and then decided that the best thing to do was to pave those rivers. The Los Angeles River is a joke now. Most people think it is a concrete drainage ditch. And they are right, that is exactly what it has been artificially transformed into. But that concrete ditch is the only reason millions of people are able to live here. After a catastrophic flood in 1938 that killed nearly 100 people and washed away thousands of homes, the Army Corps of Engineers came in and turned the entire river system into concrete. The LA River used to be a wide, braided seasonal stream that changed course every time it rained. Now it is a straight, trapezoidal channel that moves water to the ocean as fast as possible. The same thing happened to the San Gabriel River and the Santa Ana River. Here's the geographical irony. By controlling the floods, they made the flood plain safe to build on. And then they built on the natural overflow zones. Actually, they built so much that when those so-called once-in-a-100 years rains come, the concrete channels cannot handle them. And modern-day Angelinos still have the audacity of complaining when their home gets flooded. The geography never loses, it just waits. And then there is the third problem: earthquakes. The Los Angeles metro area is crisscrossed by active fault lines. The San Andreas Fault is the big one. It runs through the northern edge of the metro area near Palmdale. But that is not the only one. The Sierra Madre Fault, the Newport Inglewood Fault, the Hollywood Fault, the Santa Monica Fault, these things are everywhere. You cannot dig a foundation for a skyscraper in downtown LA without hitting ancient fractured rock that has been pulverized by centuries of seismic grinding. Every time a small earthquake rattles LA, and they happen constantly, you are feeling the geography reminding you that this whole setup is temporary. The mountains are still rising, the basin is still sinking. The only reason the city exists is because we have not had the big one yet. So why did people keep coming? Why did this geographical nightmare become one of the most populated places on Earth? The answer is simple. It is because of oil. Los Angeles sits on top of one of the most productive oil fields in the history of the U.S. The Los Angeles Basin is a sedimentary basin filled with ancient marine deposits that cooked into crude oil over millions of years. And that oil was trapped by the same fault lines and folded rock layers that make the geography so dramatic. In the 1890s, people started drilling for oil all over the metro area, and they hit massive gushers, not in some remote desert, right in the middle of the city. The Signal Hill field in Long Beach was so productive that you could see oil derricks from downtown. The Beverly Hills field, yes, that Beverly Hills produced millions of barrels. The Inglewood field, the Huntington Beach field, the Torrance field. Oil created the jobs, and jobs brought the people. And the city kept spreading because the flat parts of the basin, the floodplains that should have been left empty, were perfect for suburban housing if you ignored the whole flooding thing. In fact, oil is so abundant here that it has also gifted the city with an unexpected archaeological treasure. The La Brea tar pits are not some remote archaeological dig in the faraway desert. They are right in the heart of Los Angeles, surrounded by high-rise buildings and department stores. The tar pits are the direct result of the same geological chaos that gave LA its oil. Crude oil seeps up through the fault lines, the lighter parts evaporate, and what is left is thick, sticky asphalt that bubbles to the surface. Animals wandered in, got stuck, and died. Predators came to eat them and got stuck too. Over the millennia, the tar preserved their bones in perfect detail. Saber-toothed cats, mammoths, dire wolves, giant sloths, all of them trapped in this sticky graveyard that just happens to sit under one of the busiest intersections in the city. But oil is only half of the anomaly. The real genius move, the thing that turned a geographically stupid location into a global city, was the port. Los Angeles has a natural deep water port at San Pedro Bay. That port is protected by the Palos Verdes Peninsula on one side and a man-made breakwater on the other. Once the port was secured, the transcontinental railroads connected to it. And once the railroads were in place, everything changed. The oil brought industry, the port brought trade, and the railroads brought people. And all of that happened in a basin that was basically designed by nature to be uninhabitable. Now, I have to give credit where it is due, because as much as the oil, the port, the railroads, and the sheer stubbornness of humanity built this city, there was one final piece of the puzzle that sealed the deal: the fantastic weather the city offers. I am talking about the endless, predictable, boringly perfect sunshine that made Los Angeles the only place in America where you could film a movie outdoors almost every single day of the year. In the early 20th century, the movie studios fled the cold, dark, unpredictable winters of New York and Chicago and landed in LA. They needed consistent light and reliable weather, and LA delivered. The film industry came for the sunlight, and once the studios set up shop, the actors followed. The writers, the directors, the dreamers. It is the ultimate irony. The same sun that beats down on the concrete river channels and dries out the chaparral into fire fuel also created the most famous entertainment industry in human history. Let me pull this all together. Los Angeles became massively populated not because the weather was good, but because the geography was weirdly profitable. The anomaly is this: LA should have stayed a small mission town. But oil, a deep water port, railroads, and a complete disregard for floodplains turned it into a monster. The same mountains that trap smog and shake in earthquakes also provide the backdrop that made Hollywood famous. The same rivers that used to drown the basin now run through concrete straitjackets that made suburban sprawl possible. If you like this video, perhaps you will also like my previous one where I rank which are, in my opinion, the top 5 US cities with the most ridiculously unreal geography. Bye.